think you've got Donna down on the programme, but Steve came in this morning to find out that Donna had not supplied any slides for this morning or any content. So Steve, as a trooper, is going to wing it, but tell you about what is going on with MTW in terms of app activity at the Trust. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Well, I thought I had some clear messaging in mind until I heard Ewan and Rob's presentations, which I found unbelievably fascinating, particularly if I think about where we're at today in the journey of Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells. So I've got half an hour. Am I going at 12? Yeah, cool. Excellent. Okay. So I'm just going to paint a little bit of background, then I'm going to paint through the journey that we're on. So you'll see where we're at in context, because we've come from this build it fast, you know, get out there and make it happen. And certainly as I go around our hospital and I come into contact with lots of people who are building things and trying to make things happen, we want to try and encourage that. However, at the other end, we've got all this legislation, how do we protect our hospital and all that other good stuff as we go along. So I kind of want to try and build that as we build it up, okay. And I know I've got the last slots, you're all falling asleep before lunch, at least I've got the tyre slot straight after lunch. So I thought we'd try and make it interactive, because as you quite rightly said, and it's not Donna's fault, she is ill, and she did offer to take a quick call from me, but I was doing some other things as well. So as we all use our technology, I was driving in this morning, listening to my Siri that tells me, you know, what jobs I've got to do today, what my calendar looks like, and it reads back the text. And I got this one from Donna saying, unfortunately I'm ill, could you cover for me? I know you're only going to press some buttons, you need to play the part of a magician. I think she meant to say clinician, but magician came up, which rather worried me somewhat, because I didn't want to do that. And if all else fails, get your wallet out, Steve, because that kind of always helps. So I kind of thought about that, and I thought, oh, yes, I'll use my wallet, because I don't mind taking a risk. I can kind of use my wallet today, and we can kind of do that. The other thing, as we move forward thinking about applications and as I describe our landscape, the thing that I always want to make sure that we're always constantly bringing to mind is this positive patient identification. Because my experience has been around trying to slimline the paper in hospitals. I've been trying to do that for the last sort of 10 years. I've done it in America, South Africa, around the world. As we do that, that's fine, but the minute anybody picks up any kind of device, they seem to be out of context. And we all do it. If we write something down, we draw a picture or we paint it, we tend to remember it. If you just put it in here into the text, straight out your brain, because we're not using those kind of things. So it's all about that context stuff. So I needed you to remember who I was and keep me in context. So in good fashion, I'm just going to write my name on a bit of paper. It's that simple, okay? I'm not going to bother with my patient number or the date or any of that stuff, so it's not very legal. But Steve Lobley is me, and we're just going to use this to help some of you make some decisions. Because as a group, collectively, this collaboration around developing applications and providing patient support is absolutely key. So I'm going to start with this lady here. Could you just grab this ball for me, Chuck? Perfect. That's got my name in it, so you know that that's me. I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. You'll answer that question for me. Okay. Now, Donna Marie Jarrett, who is our informatics manager, she's got a broad brief. Okay. She's covering not only ICT, but she's got things like the information team in there. She's got information governance team in there. She's got coding. She's got telephony. It's a very broad brief. As we all know, we can all stand out here, and those of us that are in sort of from the IT background, we're enablers and we're all going to make it happen. However, we also know that we put a lot of roadblocks in the way, particularly information governance. As I go around our hospital, somebody will say, I had this amazing idea 4 years ago, Steve, and everybody kind of really excited till we hit information governance, and it stopped. Okay, so one of the things I did when I came on board last year, I made best friends with the lead of information governance, and I'm taking her on that journey with us so we can actually start to learn together. So Donna Marie joined the Trust last May, I think it was, and put together, the first thing she did was to put together a new ICT strategy for the hospital. The strategy was signed off by the board back in September, and in fact all the things and activities try and underpin that whole strategy. Wasn't going to bore you with slides, I couldn't quite remember what was on the original strategy, and I didn't want to just read that. But it has a strap line, and the strap line is INSPIRE. Delivering integrated systems, supporting patients in real time. That's the aspiration. As I stand here today, we have at least, that we know of, 450 systems in our hospital. And that's from a very small database that's been used for X up to our big enterprise systems. But we know they're out there. And there are obviously going to be more, because certainly as I go out talking about the things I'm doing, guys will go, oh, look at this app I've downloaded, Steve. It's brilliant. I can do all this kind of cool stuff on it. And I too have sat down with Apple and they talk about their 400,000 healthcare and well-being apps that are out there. Well, as long as it's on your product in your pocket and you made that decision, you're the clinician, you think you can use it safely, who am I to say? I'm not a clinician. However, if I give you a product and I open up those doors, we do have to be very, very careful. So, we've got to try and integrate our system, streamline it down, be true to the word of paper light in a few years' time, and as we start that journey, we go forward. However, owning ICT, one of the very important things that we have to do is to make sure that we have a foundation from which we can move forward on. As Ewan quite rightly pointed out earlier on, Wi-Fi is a bit iffy in this place. We do that on purpose, of course. It's so that when people are studying, they're not messing around playing on their systems. It's not intentional design flaw within the infrastructure something might put together. Or maybe it was. What do I know? So, we have to make sure we've got the infrastructure on. So one of the things that we've been doing across both our hospitals at Tunbridge Wells and here in Maidstone is working with some of our suppliers on making sure that we have a robust infrastructure. So that whether it's a desktop, and even desktops today, if you look at the latest Dells that are out there, Lenovo and things, they come Wi-Fi enabled. Long gone is the day when you had to use a bit of wire and also plug it in and patch the thing in. Yeah, they're also starting to use Wi-Fi. So it's not just about whether it's a smartphone or a tablet. The whole technology landscape is changing. Ah, yes, you've got a piece of paper, haven't you? Okay. So we're gonna work collectively. 4 or 5 of you are gonna help diagnose me today. We're gonna collaborate on that. But I'm gonna narrow it down a little bit because you know, we could end up in all sorts of legal problems if we get the wrong diagnosis. So I can have one of 52 illnesses. So let's make that simple. That could just be a pack of playing cards, couldn't it? Could be any playing card, could be my illness. Okay, so that's what it's going to be today. And keep it nice and simple. So, what's your name, madam?
Maxine.
Maxine, okay. In a pack of playing cards, we've got numbers and we've got pictures, yeah? We have numbers and pictures. What do you want, numbers or pictures? Pictures. So we're going to stick with pictures. All the decisions we make today, we're going to stick with, okay? So we're going to stick with pictures. We're going to get the numbers, we're going to throw them away. So we've gone for pictures, okay? Throw the piece of paper to somebody you don't know. You don't know anyone? Can you do it now, Maxine? Go on, get a friend, get a friend. Excellent, you keep all of that so we'll come back to you in a moment. So, making sure that we have a robust infrastructure so that we can start to get on this journey of actually what is it we're going to achieve. Now I see it, I know Donna does, that it's our job to paint the picture from an IT infrastructure perspective and an ICT perspective of the art of the possible for our user community. Using our strapline that we can get out there and talk about, you know, how we're going to integrate this stuff, how we're really going to serve our patients in real time. It gives us a foundation. And I actually like to use, my kids go to a school just over the border in Surrey, called the Warwick School. And they have a very similar strapline. And their strapline is, be inspired, inspire others. And I kind of love that, because it kind of fits in with ours. And the second duty I believe that we have is, as we're going out talking about the art of the possible, we like to be inspired, and we pick up stories on a daily basis. You know, talking, whether I'm talking just to the CSWs, right up to the CEO, we get inspired about what we're doing. But even more importantly, it's probable that the people we meet, we inspire them, because we've got this wealth of knowledge within our hospital. Believe you me, my nurses know how the wards are run infinitely better than the management team. I mean, they really, really do. And as we go on that journey, we've got to open up to that. So we started off by looking at that infrastructure piece. And then the second piece that Donna pushed forward was a collective program, for want of a better word, and it was to take some mobile devices, but to see the art of the possible today in a relatively straightforward fashion, get some quick results. As Ewan said, we want to build it fast and turn it quick. I used to work for an American software company, and it used to drive me insane that we had such long cycles to get to market. It was ridiculous, because by the time we got there, we found out we'd already missed the boat, or we just didn't want it in the first place, as you quite rightly point out. So we've got to get smart on this stuff. There are so many collaboration groups, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that much about Handy. I'll definitely be joining a local collaboration group on that, because, you know, it's that information that's flowing. I think as the person opened it, I've got his name, how embarrassing, our innovations lead, said, you know, there might be that little smart idea out there, but the chances are it's just going to be something that's slightly different built on something we've already done. So that's really, really important. What's your name, sir?
Joe.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, you got to look at the good eye, that one doesn't work. Okay, so, excellent. Okay, so we got rid of numbers, so we're pictures, aren't we? With pictures. Okay, we've got reds and blues in a pack of cards. Again, whatever you say is what we're going to stick with. I'm not just going to try and look at one of these magician's choice nonsense things. So red or blue, red or black. So what do you want to go with?
Sure, we'll go with red. Red.
We're going to go with red. Okay, just remember red, everybody. So we've gone now with red pictures. Okay. So we started off this program of work, which was called, and we're kind of dropping it a little bit, Project Gladstone, which is kind of a cool title if you think about it, because back in the day, the doctors and the midwives and nurses used to carry those Gladstone bags. They were very handsome. They protected all the tools and things that we need on a daily basis. However, I find my user community to be younger and younger and younger, and they don't know what the bloody bag is. So I spent the first 10 minutes trying to describe it to him rather than missing the point. So we're kind of moving that aside now, and we just really talk about the 4 areas within what we're doing. So what we've rolled out is we've rolled out some iPad minis and some iPod touches for now, okay? Again, we don't want to get stuck with a specific device. We know, because we've done some stats, that over 85%, certainly of our doctor community, have iPhones in their pockets. We know that number, you know. But we know there's other stuff out there, Android as well, and we don't really care. We need it to work on everything. I need somebody to log on, whether on their phone or on their tablet or on their PC, can just get access to that information at the point of need. Because ultimately that's what we're about. Accurate information at the point of need, allowing the people that need to see it, to see it. Because if I don't say that, Gail Spinks, who runs our IG, will beat me up, especially to see the video. So it's really important that we actually do that. So what we do is, I like to talk about this in 4 areas, and we'll focus in on the app bit, which is probably the most important. So we look at communication. Because we have a good infrastructure, we now know that we can put devices out there. We're actually using Cisco handsets for our phones at the moment, but we also know that there are apps and clients that means we can drop that straight to people's mobile phones or onto their devices. We don't need to carry multiple devices. And if they worse, I've got a pile of devices under there. We don't want to do that. So we can start to look at that unified communications. At the moment, to be fair, they're just using email, but it works, okay? But we'll look to how we can push that forward. We start to paint that envelope for them. The third area, I'm going to come back to 2 because it's important. The third area was all about return on investment. One of the things that we needed to do was to look at these massive, clunky sounds awful in case anybody here sells big enterprise systems, but you know, these big clunky systems that we've invested an awful lot of time and money to develop and we've stuck with for now and we'll move on to something else in the future, like our PASs, like our whatevers. How do we get connectivity through mobile devices for those? And so we've built a virtual desktop front end so we can actually access those and out in the community as well. Because I have a plethora of people working in the community, whether they're therapists or midwives or community nurses, who need access to this information. The 4th area, we call it innovation, which is where we're looking at starting to get onto the journey of getting less paper in the system by putting technology in. The 3 areas we're looking at for that are electronic forms. My hospital here has got over 1,500 paper forms that we know about, which means it's probably more like 2,000. Not one of them's got a barcode on. None of them are smart. They're just out there, and lots of them. I have a medical records library. I've got a library just down the road with 600,000 case notes in. Those are the ones that were touched in the last 24 months alone. And I've got an archive up the road with over 1 million case notes. It's a lot of paper, and none of it's particularly smart and not even great to scan. So we have the innovation piece around e-forms. We're also looking at doing electronic nursing observations. At the moment, it's about putting data in with the end-user clinician. It's not about doing head-of-bed telemetry, but we are looking at that. And interesting that, and the last piece of Rob's part there about, is it a medical device? Isn't it a medical device? Yeah. Is it giving me guidance, or is it giving me a decision? Really critical, really difficult to solve in some instances. And I look at the cases and I look at what they're doing, it's like, you know, and I don't know because I'm not a clinician, which is probably a good thing because at least I can bounce back the question and ask of these guys. But it's really, really key that we got that piece. So we've got our e-forms, we've got our vital signs piece at the end, and we look again, the innovations part really starts to drive that forward for us. But the most important bit, and that's part 2, and I just keep it in my head that way, I forget some, was applications. So what are we doing applications-wise? Now we happen to have, and I've only been around here about 6 months, but you know, the innovations team and NHS Innovation have been working on, you know, they did these hack days, come with lots of bright ideas, and things have been going on in the background, which is brilliant. And we're obviously trying to develop an environment that allows people to grow and allows them to bring out those ideas, but we can kind of do it in a mindful way. So you've still got the piece of paper in your hands, though. Was it Graham? Yes. Can you spot somebody you don't know? Or throw it to somebody you don't know?
Oops, sorry.
Bounce off his head, like, go and retrieve that. You go and retrieve that while I'm talking. So what we've done initially, we've taken some off-the-shelf applications to at least just start to look at the art of the possible. So some of it is pretty boring, okay? So we've got things like the formularies on there, paediatric formularies. We've given our junior doctors access to e-portfolios so they can be writing quality case studies as they're going out and about. And one area that we're sort of investing more time and effort in is around our guidelines. So we chose a clinical guideline system that was currently out there and available, and we're in the process of rewriting it for our own use. Now, looking at the IT bit was dead simple. You know, will it deploy? Yes. Is it saying, yeah, brilliant. And of course, I go and then talk to the clinicians and say, wait, that's good, isn't it? They'll look at it, it's brilliant. And I said, we can make a few changes, and of course, they want to change it all. Because we're very different at Mason Tunbridge Wells. We lead the world, apparently, and all that good stuff. So we're stuck in that authorization piece, which is a bit of a pain, because I can do the tech easy, but we're stuck in that other piece. But what it allows us to do, because I spend 60% of my wards looking at what we're doing from a proof of concept and talking across the whole user community about this thing, is we open up these doors for development. And it's incredible. You're absolutely right. A few years ago, it would have been all these techies teching away and clinicians were doing all their medicine. It would be great. But most of the bright ideas are coming from within now. The really clever bit is how we capture those, how we keep feeding them so they grow, how we make sure that they don't waste their time because there's already something out in the marketplace or something's going to change or where we're going. And in fact, electronic document management's a good example. It's one that I've been messing around with for quite a while now. And if you think about that triangle of diagnosis, that whole signs, symptoms and history, not that long ago, the history was the case note. If I wanted to understand the history of a patient, I would get the case note, and pretty much that would be the documented evidence that we would have. Of course, we now know over the last numbers of years, the case notes shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because I've got all these IT systems. If somebody makes a request for information, we have to go out to all these systems and pull it together now. I don't just give you a copy of the case note. It's becoming more and more complex. I know in certain hospitals, they have to go to as many as 25, 30 systems to pull that information together to pass it out. Now that's clearly quite scary and can be quite dangerous, of course, because it means there's a good chance of missing something, you put a gap in there, and then you've got a real problem on your hands. And of course, this stuff is always at the end of the legal world, which is another, really scary thing. And then of course we have, as Rob finished, that whole education piece, because we can all learn from this. There's so much rich information, and even at the most basic level. So within the project that we're doing at the moment, where we're doing nursing observations, so a nurse will still take an observation the normal way, but she'll now put it straight into a system. Now this can do so many rich things, even without anything automated. So we've done nothing automated. People are still having to look at that information. We use PAR scoring here as our early warning system. They still have to take the normal clinical appropriate action that they would have done even if they put it on paper. So there's no sort of decision there, however, it's guiding them towards information. But likewise, you can imagine, we're just live on 2 wards. And with 56 patients on those wards churning through, we've already got literally hundreds of patients' information that we're capturing from a vital signs perspective. And how we act upon that information. Now, you start to put that in there in our little user community, so I've got my nurses taking my observations and then they're escalating up to their senior nurses, and that seems like a fairly straightforward journey until you actually start really looking at what we do. When you actually understand that you've got palliative care looking at that, and you've got the pain nurses looking at that, and you've got outreach looking at that, and I've got all my therapies, I've got 4 big chunks and groups of therapies coming in and looking at those, let alone the junior doctors and the registrars and all the rest of them. It becomes a really complex picture really quickly. So, as I was back to the first point, and you've got a piece of paper, sir? Positive patient identification. How many times do we swap information either on a piece of paper or in an email or even a text or whatever? It's happening all the time in a hospital context. We're here as a user community. You know I'm Steve Lobley, I'm stood on the stage, so we ain't going to forget that, certainly not during this 20 minutes. However, if I'm out of context and I'm in, America dialing in to do a trick or something, you might not know who I am. So people who are looking at these apps, it's one of those really important underpinning factors is where's that coming from? And when we talked about communication earlier, I love the idea that if I'm looking at some information, regardless of what it is, about a specific patient, and I now want to take some action, because I'm going to ring X or text X, if I can do it from within that patient context, that's a huge, huge benefit over what we're doing today. A massive benefit, that whole positive patient identification piece. And ultimately, of course, we're here to do this. It's all about, I used to say it's all about patient care. I've actually changed that recently. It's a lot of things, actually, because it's about patient care, absolutely. Safety, security, outcome, experience, of course, at the core of what we do. But it's also about the practitioners giving them the tools to make safe decisions in a responsive way, at speed, because they've got it all in front of them. It's about the public, but ultimately it's about the people, that user interfacey bit. Because, we've all tried out to use product X, and then all of a sudden they give us a product Y. I used to work for IBM, and we owned Lotus, so everything was Lotus 1, 2, 3, and I was not allowed to touch Excel. It was a nightmare. The minute you go and use Excel, I've got to learn it all. Yeah, it's a real nightmare. So this whole user front end and all the things that people like you are driving forward is so important so we can do that. So we had the lady, she came up with pictures, and you wanted, was it red, sir? I've got that red? Yeah, red. So we've got red pictures. Okay, so the diagnosis continues. We're down to red pictures. There are 6 red pictures in a pack of cards. We've got the hearts and we've got the diamonds. So what would you like to go for? Would you like to go for the hearts or the diamonds?
Diamonds.
We're going for the diamonds. Excellent. Find somebody in the room that you don't know and throw the ball to them. Excellent. Off it goes. Well done, you. So, as I say, this is all about foundational things. There's a lot of work gone underway to make sure that we've got the infrastructure in place to do the things that we do. I'm going to be fascinated. I've got to shoot out at lunchtime, but I'm going to come back to the talk this afternoon. I'm unbelievably busy, but I think I really need to do that, quite frankly, because I'm out there as a PR of ears listening to what's going on in our hospital. I'm also trying to buffer some of the frustrations of the fact that 4 years ago I had a bright idea, but nothing's happened with it, Steve. Or I've designed. I spoke to one young chap. It's a shame he's not here actually. I hope he watches it because he's got some unbelievably good ideas. However, he came to us and he said, "I really need help. What's wrong with this?" And we went, "No, because we've got one of those, and we're helping somebody else develop one of those. However, you're clearly unbelievably bright. You really know where you're going with this stuff. Why don't you talk to the people that are doing it, come up with some other bright ideas and put them on top and keep driving forward? Because we absolutely don't want to stop people moving in their tracks, you know. This is a fascinating industry, yeah, and we know we can make huge, huge improvements. And at some point, we've got to put a group of people together to say, okay, these 400,000, you know, healthcare and well-being apps, how the heck do we decide what's safe in our hospitals? You know, what are we going to go with? Because I can bet you, I mean, like I say, I bumped into a diabetics doctor specialist, and he's got this app and this thing that looked really cool. I wouldn't have a clue where I'd go to get that signed off. I really wouldn't. And to be honest with you, and it's been fascinating hearing all the stuff from Rob, but you know, it's got my brain going 100 miles an hour, and it makes it simple on one end, but it makes it more complex on the other. But it just makes you stop and think, which is a really important thing as we move forward. So, and I'm looking forward to the guidelines because that will really clear it up for me. So, we've got the ball next. Oh, excellent. Okay. So we continue with our collaborative diagnosis of Steve Lobley. Okay. So we've got ourselves down to, we got to pictures, we got to red. What did you say? Was it diamonds? Diamonds. Oh, I see. You went for the lady. She looks like a lady of diamonds, doesn't she? Brilliant. What's your name?
Tanya.
Tanya. Okay, Tanya. So in a pack of cards, we've got 3 pictures that are diamonds. Okay. We've got the Jack, the Queen, and the King. We've got 2 blokes and a lady. 2 blokes and a lady. So your final decision. This is the final decision you're going to make, and we're only keep enough time for questions. So the final decision we're going to make is, it's a diamond. We know it's a picture. Are you going to go for Jack? He's a bit of a rogue, you know, man about town, but he's pretty cool. We've got the lady, of course, Lady of Diamonds, a bit like sophisticated, we like that. And then we've got the King of Diamonds. He's going to be our consultant. Any consultants in the room? I've got to check before I do anything derogatory. So he's going to be our consultant. So anyway, choice is yours. You've got the Jack, Queen, or the King of Diamonds.
Jack.
The Jack, you like the rogue, a man about town. I'm loving it. Okay, that's absolutely perfect. So you're going to go with that final decision? The Jack of Diamonds. Excellent. Throw a piece of paper. Okay. Oops.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault. I can't catch anyway, only with one eye. So, and I tell you what, the fact that I'm having any water in here is an absolute nightmare, isn't it? Trying to develop Jack Diamonds. Let's not forget that. Okay. So our journey forward, we have a really complex roadmap. I understand, and I know we've talked about sending out presentations for the people that didn't get it beforehand. Donna Madrija's got a really kind of an in-depth piece around the whole strategy. It's got some architectural bits and pieces, so I will make sure that you've got all of that information. You can send that out to put it back into some context. But I guess, if anyone's got any questions, that's great, but I really wanted to kind of bring it full circle. I was chatting to I've got 2 young teenagers, and interestingly, I thought I could communicate. I don't seem to communicate with them at all, as it happens. Henry Winkler, does anybody remember the Fonz? Henry Winkler once said in an interview, and it just made me smile only a few years ago, he said, just when I realised my dad was right, my kids don't understand me. He did it with an American accent, but I thought, that's my world. I don't understand my kids. Because I was chatting to my kids the other day about what I do here in the hospital, and they were like going, oh my God, that just sounds really hard graft. How do you get up in the morning? How do you get in there and still smile and keep going? I said, well, ultimately, it's a bit like your school motto. We're out to inspire our end users, get everybody involved in this. So that's what gets me going. And if all else fails, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. My son went, I don't want you to do that. He's 17. YOLO. And I went, what's YOLO? He goes, you know what I'm test. YOLO. I said, I don't know what YOLO is. He goes, you only live once. What? He goes, so? Get out there and do that stuff, but make sure you have fun along the way. I thought, I like that. That's good. And he said to me, if all else fails, when you put your head down at night on the beach, he's obviously got aspirations. You know, make sure you party. So I'm thinking, okay, I can live with that. Let's make sure we party. So I'm kind of cool with this. I'm thinking, okay, let's make sure we have a good journey along the way and make it a little bit of fun. We learn from each other. We join in with these collaboration groups. We're already underpinning the infrastructure in our hospital, so we're kind of bracing ourselves for the future. One thing I'm so pleased is that we have some technology out there that's robust, so that when I start my next project, which is all about trying to slim down how much paper we have in the hospital, at least people people get to view this stuff. Of course, often I remove the paper and they can't get access to it. So you made a decision. We got down to pictures. You made a decision, sir, and we got down to colour. You went with diamonds, and then you went for the rascally rogue of the Jack of Diamonds. Donna said to me this morning, if all else fails, use your wallet. I wasn't going to pay my way out of this. For the NHS. That wasn't going to happen, was it? I put my wallet, as you can see, got one wallet. Actually, this is ridiculous when I think about it, because she did tell me I was supposed to be a clinician, and how ridiculous of me that I forgot. So what I should have really done was made sure that, and I don't want to hide that, make sure keep it in full view. Of course, I'm not allowed to have everything up my sleeves. That wouldn't be allowed. Even Darren Brown doesn't bother showing his arms, does he? He's a rogue, isn't he? So we've got down to our one wallet, and we've got down to my diagnosis. The Jack of Diamonds. One wallet only. I've got an envelope in here. One envelope and one envelope only. You made all the decisions. I wasn't involved in any of that. You made the final decision. Okay. Before I take questions, remember, although you only live once, at least have some fun along the way. I'll be coming back after lunch, so if anybody wants to talk to me, they can. I'm sure you're all exhausted by now. One card only. Give the lady a big round of applause. The Jack of Diamonds, unbelievable. I knew you'd go for the road. What do you like? Brilliant. Any questions? And I'm sorry that was a little bit different, but I didn't have a lot of brief, so I just decided to go with it. So anything spring to mind? No? I mean, what I'm pleased about is, and I'm genuinely pleased, and my brain is running at a million miles an hour, I could echo everything that Ewan said as I think about the journey I've had over the last 6 months, and I could echo everything that Rob said. So I think it set us up rather nicely, and this afternoon, I think we delve into detail about some of the work that has gone on, which again will really bring that whole piece to life, which is really, really important. Like I say, I will go out this afternoon, if anybody's got any questions, they can. I'll make sure that my email address, my NHS email address goes out with the presentations along with Donna, so if anything comes to mind later on. But you will start seeing me around, because I definitely want to join all the local groups over here, because this is far too exciting opportunity.
And one piece of advice I can give you is you will need your wallet when dealing with your teenagers.
Excellent. Thank you very much. My name is Steve Lawley.
I don't know if it's just me, but does anyone else feel out of breath after that? Thank you, Steve. Well, we weren't aware of what we were getting this morning. We didn't expect that magic trick. Right, so we're going to break in a moment for lunch. Lunch is through where teas and coffees were served earlier today. There's a hot and cold buffet. We're going to break and regroup for 1 o'clock promptly. Okay? Any questions, please come and find me or any member of the team. But we've got quite a packed afternoon. Okay, thank you very much.